In this lesson today, we're going to be talking about the transformation called a translation. What it is it's sliding a figure across the coordinate plane. Now, before we start translating figures and points, I want to talk about these two vocabulary terms that you see here in blue. The first word is the pre-image. The pre-image is the image or the point before a transformation occurs. Then we have this thing called the image. The image is the new image or point after the transformation has occurred. We indicate this image by using this thing called prime. We indicate it by using an apostrophe, like here in our example. So we're going to go ahead and use these two things as we're going along in this lesson. So again, like I said, a translation is a slide. So we're going to be taking a point and we're going to be sliding it across the coordinate plane. The directions in which we go are going to be left and right along the x-axis and then up and down along the y-axis. So for the first translation, we have left 3 units and down 5 units. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my point, I'm just going to put my, my pen or my pencil right on the point, and I'm going to go to the left 3 units. So 1, 2, 3. Notice I'm not writing anything down on my coordinate plane. I'm just putting my pen and hovering over the point. Then I'm going to go down 5 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once I land in that position, I'm going to draw a nice dot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to label my new image. My new image is going to be called A prime. So my pre-image was the one that we began with, and it was just labeled A. And then once I did the transformation, I labeled him A prime. Let's try another one. My translation is going to the right 7 units and up 2 units. So I'm going to start at my pre-image, my point B, and I'm going to move to the right 7 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then I'm going to move up 2 units. 1, 2. Once I land in that position, I'm going to go ahead and draw myself a nice dot, and I'm going to label my new image. I'm going to label him B prime. And you've performed the translation. It's as simple as that. Let's try a couple more. This time, instead of working with just a single coordinate, we're going to be working with a figure. In our case, we have triangles. So this translation, it says we're going to translate this triangle right 4 units and down 6 units. So if I do that, I'm not going to take the entire shape and translate it all at once. In this unit, we're always going to be focusing on one point at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my x coordinate here. I'm going to translate it to the right 4 units, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to go down 6 units, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to go ahead and put a little dot there, and I'm going to label my new image x prime. I never want to wait till the end to label my new image. I always want to label it in the moment. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead over to my Y pre-image. I'm going to move him to the right 4 units, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then down 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to go ahead and label him Y prime. And then the last point I have is Z. I'm going to go ahead and take him 4 units to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 6 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to give him a name of Z prime. Once I've translated all of the coordinates that are in my pre-image, at this point I can go ahead and I can use a straight edge and connect my dots. So you should see the original figure just slid across the coordinate plane, and that's all. Okay, now we have a translation, left 2 units and up 3. Okay, so I'm going to start with my L. I'm going to go 2 to the left, and then I'm going to go 3 up. I'm going to label him L prime. I'm going to move over to my J. I'm going to go 2 to the left, and I'm going to go 3 up, and I'm going to label him J prime. And then I'm going to go down to my P. I'm going to go 2 to the left, and then I'm going to go 3 up, and I'm going to label that last coordinate P prime. Once I've wrapped up all of the coordinates on the figure, I can go ahead and connect my dots. Alrighty. Now let's talk about a different type of method on how to translate. So we need to know the difference between these two vocabulary terms, horizontal and vertical. So let's first talk about the horizontal translation. Horizontal means that you're moving from right to left or left to right, just like a number line. So if we had a number line, if we were moving to the right, we would end up in the positive direction. And if we were moving to the left, we would end up in the negative direction. Then we have the term vertical. A vertical translation is moving up and down. So if you're moving upward, you're moving in the positive direction. And if you're moving downward, you're moving in the negative direction. So the way that this is indicated is saying that we have a translation where the coordinate xy is x minus 3 and y plus 4. Basically what this is saying is that the first the coordinate here, the x minus 3, this is our horizontal coordinate because we know that the x-axis is on our horizontal axis. And then the second piece, y plus 4, that's going to be on a vertical axis. So what this is saying is that x minus 3 is we're going to the left 3 units. And then y plus 4 is saying that we're going up 4 units. So now we can just translate like we did already with the other examples that we had. So I'm going to go ahead and start with A, and I'm going to move him to the left 3 units, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to move up 4 units, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go ahead and plot my image and label him A prime. I'm going to run over here to my B. I'm going to go left 3 units, and then I'm going to go up 4 units, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to call him B prime. And then my C, I'm going to go left 3 units, 1, 2, 3, and then up 4 units, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we'll call him C prime. And I'm going to go ahead and connect my coordinates, and I've translated the figure. All right, the next one, very similar. This time, it's saying that our horizontal shift is going to be to the right. And then our vertical, I'm sorry, this is horizontal, this is a vertical. Vertical shift is going to be down 3. So I'm going to go 2 to the right, and then I'm going to go down 3. So let's start with my H. 2 to the right, and then down 3. I'm going to label him H prime. My K, 2 to the right, down 3. That's going to be my K prime. And then my R, 2 to the right and down 3. That's going to be my R prime. And I'm going to go ahead and connect my coordinates as straight as I can. And I am done. Okay, the last thing I want to do here is I want to take a look at this question. It says, which of the following transformations could not have been created by a translation? Choose all that apply. Go ahead and pause the video and try to answer these questions on your own before we go over them together. Okay, so let's go ahead. And the key word in this question is the one that's underlined, the word not. We're looking for the ones that are not a translation. Sometimes to answer these questions, I like to think of, well, which ones are created by a translation? So let's actually figure it out backwards. Could the first one here be a translation, meaning sliding it across the coordinate plane? And I would say, yes, this could be a translation. So actually, I'm going to indicate that by a T and a check. Now, the second graph that you see here, you can see that it is moved across the coordinate plane, but it is turned slightly. This is called a rotation, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later on in the unit. But this one could not be a transformation, so I'm going to go ahead and just not indicate that at all. The third one, this one, it is moved across the coordinate plane, but you can see that it is flipped upside down. So therefore, this is not a translation. A translation is only when you take the figure and move it. You don't turn it or flip it. Okay, in the fourth graph, you can see that this one does look like a translation. It doesn't look like it's flipped, and it doesn't look like it's rotated. It also doesn't look like it's gotten bigger or smaller either. That's called a dilation. We'll talk about that later. This one looks like a great translation. All right, in the next graph, you can see that doesn't necessarily look rotated or flipped or dilated. It just looks like it's moved from maybe the left to the right or the right to the left. That's all. So this just looks like a translation. And then the last graph, you can see that the triangle looks identical. Both of them look identical. We just took the one triangle and slid it across the coordinate plane. So this is also going to be a translation. So if the question was, which of the following transformations could not have been created by a translation? Well, we've determined that the ones that we indicated here were translations, so I'm going to go ahead and choose the other ones. Sometimes that's a nice test-taking strategy to help you answer the questions. So these two could not have been created by a translation.